Step into a world of magic and limitless possibilities with me, your host, Katie Soul. I'm not just your average podcaster. I'm a former Fortune 100 exec who dared to escape the rat race and embark on my own mystical journey. Together, we'll discover that a mystical life is not something you stumble upon. It's a life you consciously create. Join me as we explore inspiring stories of extraordinary souls who fearlessly pursued their dreams and unlocked their inner radiance. Welcome to my world, where magic awaits and your light shines bright. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our show. This is our first episode, and we're so delighted to have you here with us. We're in for a treat today as we have a truly special guest who's been shaking up the affiliate marketing world one launch at a time. She's a master of creating authentic connections that have resulted in millions in revenue for her clients. Our guest today is not just a whiz at strategy. She also firmly believes in the harmony of joy and wealth in your business. She's a living example of this philosophy, having applied these principles in her own business with astounding success. It's clear to see that for her, doing business is a collaborative journey, not a solo endeavor. Standing up for what she believes in, our guest is an advocate for inclusivity, authenticity, and quality in all she does. This is evident in her highly acclaimed program, Rock Your Affiliate Program, a game changer that has equipped countless entrepreneurs to kickstart their own successful affiliate programs. She's also launching an incredible new program for helping course creators and affiliates connect. It's called Rootable, and I'm really excited to dive more deeply into that with her today. Away from the business world, she's a loving mama, a passionate lover of nature, and a spirited traveler. It's her warm heart and zest for life that makes her so very relatable. So let's bring on the woman who's redefined the approach to business launches, making it a win for everyone involved. Please put your hands together and help me in giving a warm welcome to the phenomenal Laura Sprinkle. Welcome, Laura, to our show.
Woohoo! Thank you. Wow, what an intro. That was epic. Thank you.
There's a lot to say about the brilliant Laura Sprinkle, and I'm so grateful to call you my friend, too.
Yes, that's my favorite part.
So, Laura, I don't know what your morning's been like, but I know I have been running around all over the place. And I thought it might be nice if we start off each episode by taking a moment to drop into our heart centers. We'll quiet the mind and take that elevator ride down into the heart. And I would love to offer a brief 5-minute meditation to start before we dive into lots of exciting questions. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect.
Oh, amazing. I think it will be a great way to ground. And for those listening too, please join in. This is going to be an eyes closed practice. And so if you are driving or operating heavy machinery, you may want to press the pause button and come back to this when you can close your eyes for 5 minutes. We'll also incorporate throughout these episodes open-eyed practices and all sorts of different tools to add to your toolkit. But for now, let's just close our eyes. And you can begin by taking a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. We'll do that one more time. Deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. And start to notice your body. Start to feel if you're clenching any part of your body. Are you clenching your toes? Are your hands folded together? Is your eyebrows and your forehead feeling tight? Gently start to relax those parts of your body, anywhere that you feel that's a little tight or sore or holding the energy of the day. Let's gently just start to relax it. And if you don't know how, just keep breathing in and out and think about softening that part of the body. We're going to come in to a memory. I want you to take a moment to think back to your child self. Meet that 8-year-old you, the 8-year-old Laura, and find her somewhere in a memory that she's delighting in, a memory where she felt free, a memory where she felt alive, a memory where she felt confident, a memory where she felt joy. And if no memories are surfacing, that's okay too. Just tell that inner you, that 8-year-old you, I love you. I love you. I love you. If you're new to inner child work, it might take a minute for that inner child, that inner you to reemerge and feel safe in coming to the surface. And if you've been doing inner child work for years, perhaps significant new memories are emerging for you in this moment. Whatever your experience is, know that it is perfect in this now moment and exactly what you need. As you deepen in with your inner child, just reflect on how your inner child is feeling in this memory. Are they feeling safe? Are they feeling rooted? Is there anything they want to tell you? And give your inner child a moment to connect with you. See what they might have to say, what they might have to offer. Our inner children are connection points to our super conscious and can help our adult selves to tap in to what's the right next step. So taking this time to get to know and nurture your inner child is a beautiful practice. You can spend just a couple minutes a day diving in, connecting with your inner child. It's a very quick way to get straight from the worries of the mind where your human self, your adulting self, often lives and taps straight into your heart center. We'll take a couple more deep breaths here, in and out of the nose. And you can start to wiggle your hands and toes a little bit. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and we'll begin our session together. How is that for you?
It was beautiful.
Oh, amazing.
I'll never regret taking that time. It's always when you're up here vibrating, you're like, no, I don't have time for that. And then you do, and you're like, I don't have time not to drop in. This
I
is
know. So tell us a little bit, what did 8-year-old Laura love? What were her passions? What was fueling her when you look back and remember that inner you?
Yeah. So four distinct memories came up for me.
Amazing.
So one was I had this bead. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like there were white beads and then you could color them with this maker thing. And so my neighbor across the street and we had this whole business plan of our homemade jewelry with this bead maker. And then I also collected all the neighbors and named myself president of the kids club and like wanted to organize activities. So both of those came through and it's just funny. I mean, it's funny and it's not funny. And you're like, of course that's what you were doing because I just feel like there's so many through lines between that and now of my desiring to gather people together, to have fun, to do good things, to be entrepreneurial, all that.
Totally. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. And tapping into your inner child gives you really strong clues as to what you innately knew coming into this lifetime, into this incarnation. And it's so beautiful because you are living out that purpose today. And those clues that you seeded with yourself when you were young are still so relevant in your day to day. It's funny, when I was 8, I also had my first business
Yeah.
and it revolved around beads too.
Oh, wow.
I know. So clearly we're destined to meet. I made these counting beads that you would hang on your golf bag. So you could pull a bead down each time you took a stroke. So if you took a lot of strokes, it helped you remember by the end of
This
the
is
hole.
so specific. I
It was
love
very
it.
specific, and I sold them at local golf shops. And I had a few friends that helped me out in making them. And it was my first real business initiative at 8. So,
I love that.
so
That's so fun.
funny that we had that similar thread.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to share that emerged in your memories?
Oh, so I'd said 4. So the other memory, and I guess they were like kind of interwoven, was reading Harry Potter. I
Mm,
don't know if I was exactly 8, but anyway, that came through of
that's
like loving to read. And then I was really into wearing mismatched socks. Like
Ooh,
that was like on purpose. I'm like, you can't wear matching socks. Got
love
to be a little
that.
rebellious there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So lots of good. I mean, little Laura was pretty darn cool, I have to say.
Yeah, amazing. And have you done any work tapping into little Laura before?
I have, not a ton, but I did a little bit this year, actually specifically related to dating and just looking back at threads in my life of like, feeling rejected on the playground at like 10 years old and just like I ended
Mhm.
up that night like hugging myself and like crying what felt like for a year and a half. And it was just so cathartic. So
Oh,
a little bit of a different direction there, but it's it's pretty magical, but it can also be like can suck you in too.
totally. And I think, finding the dark and the light, we have opportunities to heal on both those sides. So that, it's beautiful that you were able to hold the hurt inner child in you. And it's also beautiful that you're able to cultivate the desires that your inner child had too. And being able to work with both of those is so epic.
Yeah.
Mm, well done.
I find it really to just like when I was hugging myself and like thinking it's really cool to like see yourself from the outside perspective, even though you're still you. And like you can recognize, oh, I had that feeling at that time. And like being like, wow, you are amazing. And saying all the things that maybe wish that you would have said to yourself in those moments.
So beautiful. Mm. And for those listening, a beautiful practice that you can start to thread in and incorporate into your lives too. So, I want to talk about something that's near and dear to me, and that's really the concept of following your light. And my motto in life is that when we follow our light, we light up the world. So
Mm.
tell us, Laura, how are you following your light?
I love the through lines and threads through all of this because my motto is making connections that make the world a brighter place. Is
Amazing. Of course it is. I love that.
And so really, I mean, that's what it's about for me is connect. And when I say connections, yes, I love making connections between people and that's how I follow my life, but it's also connecting to myself in this human existence, in this human body. It's connecting to spirit and the universe. It's connecting with the trees. As you know, I'm
Mm,
mildly obsessed with the trees. And so being surrounded by them, being in them, just taking them in and connecting to nature in that way. And then also just really connecting uh, with humans. I just think humans are so fascinating and mysterious and complicated and
mm.
terrible and wonderful. And like, I just feel like we're like birds, like building our little nests and like doing mating dances. And it's just like wild and fascinating to me.
Totally. I want to talk a little bit about the thread of nature too, because that is so profound. And I know this about you as your friend that you really love spending time in the woods. So, can you tell us when you're in the woods, what is it that draws you to that environment? And how do you feel when you're taking time in nature?
Mm, I love this. And I've thought about it a lot over the last year in particular because I hadn't before. And a lot of people will say like, "Oh, I'm really drawn to water," or,
Mhm.
"I really love like being at the top of a mountain, like that summit energy where you can see a good view." And I'm like, "That's awesome. I love all of those things for sure. Love the ocean, love climbing mountains." But really for me, it really is being in the middle of the trees and like
So
looking up and seeing them like tower and all the beautiful leaves everywhere. And it feels
good.
like awe and wonder and like being able to pick out and notice the small things, but also the majesty of these beings that have grown for however long they've taken to get where they are. And I haven't been to the redwoods, but I have a feeling I'm gonna have like a ecstatic experience.
Totally. The redwoods have been calling me too, so maybe we'll plan a trip.
I love it. Let's do that. Everyone listening is invited.
Yeah, we're seeding it here, and once we spoke it, the spell is cast, so it's definitely happening. You're welcome to join.
I love it. Uh, and it's like that feeling of like a hug. Even I mean, sometimes I do hug trees, and actually, my daughter, who's 5, like she loves hugging trees, and I never prompted her to do this. I never hugged a tree in front of her, but she just like would go and like hug them, and I'm like, yes, that I love that. Let's keep doing that. So it's like that kind of embrace of nature and that feeling of coziness, even if it's vast. So I could talk about the trees for a year and a half.
And I was thinking about it the other day too, that just like we have an aura and our aura stretches beyond our physical body, so does Mama Gaia, so does Mother Earth. Mama Gaia has an aura, and each tree has an aura. And do you notice sometimes you're drawn to certain trees to hug? Like I have a connection to a couple local trees that just really bring me this beautiful medicine. Does that happen to you too?
I just came like, wow, Katie, you are magical. So a memory of when I was approximately 8 just flooded through around in the playground. My group of friends and I we called him Mr. Tree. And I mean, I know, very original name, but like it was a
I
very
love it.
specific tree. And there was another one that we connected with that was like near Mr. Tree. But there was this little boy who was in our friend group, but kind of outside of it, and he kicked the tree once, and, like, we got upset. But I just remember feeling this rage of, like,
Oh,
"No, Mr. Tree is sacred." Not that I would have said those words when I was 8, but
You knew.
I knew. I'm like, now I wonder if Mr. Tree is still there. Probably not, but for sure. I wouldn't say that I have a tree. There's not a special tree in my life right now. Which sounds silly, but I should search. There is this particular state park near my house, and I got to walk there recently. And those trees in particular do call to me, but it's as a collective.
Amazing. Well, when you come visit next, I'll take you to one of my favorite trees. And I call her the birthing tree. And
Ooh.
she looks pregnant. She has this really big belly emerging from her. And I actually just brought two other mutual friends, Sarah and Nell, to visit her recently. And we spent some time with her and did some intentions around what we were birthing in this year. And it's a really powerful practice. So if you do feel drawn to a specific tree, those that are listening, lean into it. Don't worry about looking weird. You're probably just giving the next person on the trail behind you an access point to explore something within themselves. And if they get triggered, that's okay too. I had this happen recently. I actually write about it in my book, where there's this great trail near my house and there's a beautiful stream, and I walk it barefoot a lot. And sometimes I take a little break and I put my feet in the stream. And I was doing it, and these two women came up to me and they said, "Ooh, are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm totally great. Like everything's good." And they just looked at me like, something's a little off with this one. And I know enough to know that they might have been feeling triggered by what I was doing, but I also knew that there was a gift hidden inside that for them. And so I extended an offer to these two strangers in the woods. And I said, if you'd like to, you're welcome to join me. And they both looked at each other, and one really was getting ready to say yes. And the other was like, no, no, we shouldn't. We have to be somewhere. And they went off. And for me, I found a lot of peace in that because I extended an offer. I gave them an opportunity. I provoked them in a way that might be new or different. And there was a part of them that I could see in their eyes that they wanted to know more. They wanted to understand why I was doing what I was doing. And we'll see. Perhaps we'll meet again in the woods and we'll be able to talk more about it. And perhaps it sparked something I will never know. And perhaps they thought nothing of it. But we don't know. And I think, sometimes when we follow our light, we just sometimes know where that beams to others. And other times it's unknown to us. And both ways, it's so very beautiful. So, keeping with the tree theme, I want to talk a minute about something that you are rooting very much in your life. And that's your new business, Rootable. So, can you tell us, how did Rootable come to life? How did that emerge? How did you begin rooting it? Tell us all things Rootable. And I love, love, love the name. It's so fitting for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, I'll touch briefly on the name first. So it's Rootabl. I'm like, did I spell that right? Yes. So rootable, no E at the end. And that name didn't just come to me. I had a spreadsheet with 200 words that I was trying all these combos and looking up things. But then when I found Rootable and rootable.com was available, and I, registered it and I was going for it. And now, several months in, I'm like, it couldn't have had any other name. Like, that
Of course
has
not.
always been the name. It just took all of that searching for me to find it. And yeah, so Rootable. I mean, the concept of Rootable and of creating a platform for course creators, for people who are in personal development and business development to be able to connect, to be able to share each other's work and create ecosystems of wealth. I mean, that has been years in the making, both in terms of my loving the trees and having that be my spiritual place, but more so in like the tangible practical work that I do. And as an affiliate program strategist, so I help people create affiliate partnerships, earn wealth through sharing other products, help other people earn wealth through sharing theirs. But it was like nothing would connect in the way that I wanted it to. And I kept
Mhm.
looking around of like, who is going to create this platform? Why won't somebody do this? Why are all these platforms crappy? And finally, I realized I'm the person I've been waiting for. I'm
Mm.
the one that needs to do this. I'm the one that has the experience and the background and the knowledge and the excitement and the passion. Like I've never felt as passionate about something as this. And like I've had different businesses and you go through pivots, but I'm like still just as passionate as day one on this years in. So I don't know if that's where you were going, but yeah, it's been a long time coming and I'm still seeding it, right? I'm still at that soil
Totally.
level. I do feel like I'm composting everything I've done up to now, um,
Mhm.
in order to root and create really strong roots to birth something that can give fruit for a long time to a lot of people.
So beautiful. And I love the concept that you're letting the compost be the source of the growth, which is
Mhm.
so beautiful and rich and deep. Mm. Rootable. I'm so excited for this to birth into the world. So tell us a little bit more. When will it be sort of available out there in the world? Who is somebody who might be a partner in Rootable, and how do they get in touch with you?
Ooh, great questions. Great questions. So the people that may be interested in taking a closer look at Rootable and seeing where we're at, depending on when you're listening to this, are folks who have online courses or sell things digitally, in
Okay.
particular in the personal development and in the business development spaces. So, health and wellness, life coaching, spirituality. I'm sure a lot of those folks are going to be listening in.
Hi.
And then also, if you teach other business owners, how to grow and scale in a values driven way, my community is definitely all about values and changing the world through partnerships based on values. So if you fall into that category, would love for you to check it out at rootable.com and you can see where we're at with things. So right at this very second, we're recording on May 17th. We're still in the building process on the tech side and we're already launching our community. So you can meet folks that are also interested in these practices and learn from my 7 years of working in the industry of affiliate programs on how to actually set this up for yourself so that we can create wealth for our communities rather than corporations in the attention economy. I'm not even going to name the corporations, but you know where you pay for ads.
Totally. I think we would all like that very, very much.
Yes.
Ooh, I'm so excited. And tell us too, because I know when we're starting things from scratch, sometimes there's challenges.
Really? I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking
I mean,
about.
at least on my side, I've had a few little bits and bumps along the way that have helped me in my growth journey. So tell us, what is present and real for you around building something so big and massive and visionary in this space? What's
Mm,
real and what's like the stuff that the growth edges that you are coming up against?
yeah. Two things are coming to mind. So, one, and I believe that this is why this is part of my work here in the world is creating connections and helping people get support to grow through their community, is creating my own community in the fact of like asking for help and asking for
Mhm.
support. that's always a growth edge for me. Even asking for affiliate partnerships is still hard after 7 years and after helping thousands of affiliates make millions of dollars. Like, that's still a growth edge. And also staying focused. I feel like as visionaries, I am a running list of ideas, like a never ending amount of ideas. And I get really excited. But staying really focused and continuing to build those roots because I don't want to like build something really tall that then is going to fall over in the wind, right? Like I want it to be really strong. I want it to not just be based on me. So I don't know if that's similar to what you're experiencing.
Gosh. Certainly, the latter one, I've gotten really good at asking for help throughout my career. And I really believe, particularly as women, that we need to ask for help. And you know this about me from our sister circles together and our times. I'm always encouraging our friends to speak what they need in to forums because it's so important because if we don't ask, the answer is always going to be no.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
while it's uncomfortable to ask, that is a muscle I have built throughout my career. Now, the second one, the distractions have been certainly a challenge because so many amazing opportunities start to come in. And as you raise your vibration, you are beaming this light into the world. And then next thing you know it, you're at the fish store or the coffee shop, as I was this morning. And, I'm offering business advice in these places to people that I don't know. And I have had to become more discerning with my energy. And as much as I love to do that, I also need to stay focused on the bigger mission of what I'm building and point people into the directions that they can find those tools instead of spending half an hour at the coffee shop, guilty this morning with the barista who is a lovely human being and has some beautiful dreams. But he's somebody I could point in the direction of my larger body of work or to this podcast. And I am working really hard on being more focused. And one practice that I'm doing right now is each week I'm thinking about my calendar and what's on it. And I'm thinking about it in terms of purpose or distraction. And I'm being a little bit cutthroat about it, to be totally honest. And if it's focused towards my purpose, it's a green light. And if it's not, it's getting canceled. And that's one practice that I've implemented. Do you have any practices that you've implemented that have helped you stay focused on the bigger mission?
Hmm. I'm I think so many small things, but really the one that's coming to mind that I had heard people say, but kind of dismissed for many years was at the top of every single team meeting, we take a breath and we sink into our mission and our vision of creating connections that make the world a brighter place. And so just every single time coming back to that, and even if we're up here before we come on the call, like always saying, no, we're going to drop in, we're going to remind ourselves, um, has been really helpful. And then a practice that just helps me every single day stay on like my bigger mission in the world is getting outside for at least 1% of the day. I'm on like I don't know, a year and a half. I started January 1st, well, probably before January 1st, but January 1st, 2022 of like really intentionally every single day. Um, and that is something I will never not do. And so I just feel like that always kind of like brings you back in.
Okay, so tell us, like, what counts as getting outside? Does it mean like there has to be movement? Do you have a certain time that you need to be outside?
Yeah. That's a great question. So my first year, so in 2022, I did not have a specific time. I will say, I probably spent a minimum, not an average, a minimum of 20 minutes going for a walk. There doesn't have to be movement. And then, but there usually is. And then this year, it is specifically at least 1% of the day, which is only 14 minutes and 20 seconds. So I'm never out there like timing it, but my walk is about 18 minutes, my like
Okay.
kind of normal route. So that's frequently what it is. But I could just like be reading a book outside and hang out for a few hours. And then I'm like, okay, that's good. That counts.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I've had the pleasure of in some, I don't know, maybe 0-degree
Oh,
temperatures in New Hampshire doing this practice with Laura. And she
well, it
is,
was below
I
zero. It
think
was
it's below
like,
0.
it was negative 20, I'm pretty sure.
Totally. Okay, I want to touch on 2 more topics in the time that we have left together. One, I want to touch on a funny story that we both shared recently. And 2, I want to talk a little bit about life as a single mama and how are you blending co-parenting, single parenting, doing the dance of being an entrepreneur, being a CEO, finding time for yourself, and setting a great example for your daughter. How are you doing all of that so beautifully?
Oh, wow. I don't know that I'm always doing it so beautifully, is really my first reaction to that. And that's what we're diving into right now, right? Is the
Let's
parenting
dive into that right now. Let's dive into how you are setting this beautiful example for your daughter
Mm,
as to what it looks like to be a grounded mom who spends time in nature, who spends time with their daughter, and has this like big badass business career.
yeah. So it's funny because my what we just talked about, my every single day getting outside was actually inspired by her.
Oh,
Not really the other way around because when I got my house and I was moving to the town that I live in now, I was looking for where to send her to daycare, preschool, what I was going to do. And I, many moons ago, had worked at a Montessori school. And so I was like looking that up. And in my search, like the Waldorf school popped up. And I had never heard of Waldorf before, but I looked into it and they spend the majority of their day outside, no matter the weather. And really, they go by the philosophy of there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad gear.
mm,
So I send her to this Waldorf school. At the time she's 3 years old. She's got all this gear. She's outside all day. And I was like, Laura, if your 3-year-old can spend 2 hours outside in 20-degree weather, like you can get your butt out the door and like not lock yourself on your computer.
mm,
So it was really, she inspired me. And then I continue to just get outside. And then the more that I do that, and then the more I do it with her, it's just a great way to bond. And I feel like we connect so much better than if we're watching TV, right? At that point, we're not connecting, we're connecting with the screen instead of with each other. And I think when it comes to like, the dance between that and work, I really believe that our kids need quality over quantity of time with us.
mm, totally.
So, like, I take advantage of when she's not around, and when she is, I make sure that I am, spending that connection one-on-one time with her. I would say I'm definitely still in the dance of I cannot do good work and be a good mom at the very same time.
Mm,
I don't know that anybody else can, but I don't discount that, but, like, I know that for me, they really do need to be separate.
yeah.
Um So that's how I'm, playing with it right now. I don't know what about you?
Yes, I would say sister speaks for me for sure because presence, you can't be present when you're multitasking. You just can't. And my kids absolutely know if I'm multitasking and I'm not present. One of my former colleagues in my corporate life, my former life, gave me this really great piece of advice. And she was older than me. And so her kids were older. And she said, Katie, even if you are watching a TV show with your kids, put your phone down, be present, because that show is really important to them. And we don't watch a ton of TV in our house, but I always have done that. And they really love it if I sit down. And for me, it's not always easy because sometimes spending 30 minutes, 20 minutes watching a TV show when I would really like to be multitasking and replying to my emails. But she's just like that download really stuck with me all those years. And I notice how meaningful it is when I just am with them. I'm present. Even if we are connecting with the technology, it really has this deeper meaning to me. And I also try to connect with my kids a lot one-on-one. So carving out specific pockets of time throughout the week where I can be with just one of them at a time, be really present, whether it's shooting hoops with my son or doing art with my daughter. We do an art class every week, the three of us, which I do really love too.
That's adorable. I
I
love
know.
that.
It's so fun. And it's a dance, and we're always learning and we're always evolving. And in our last couple minutes, I wanted to touch on a funny story that Laura and I shared, and it was a miscommunication. And there's so many lessons in miscommunications, and this one's just hilarious. But it
I
got me.
didn't know where you were going, but I just remembered the story.
Maybe I'll let you tell this story, but I was thinking about this, and so often in life, we don't really know how the other person is interpreting what we're saying. And this was like actually a miscommunication. But I think there's so many lessons in it too, because sometimes we can make a judgment about a situation or a person based on how we perceive something to happen. And sometimes we're just wrong. Like, I mean, this was just a very, very funny story where, do you want to share the story?
Sure. So,
So
we
good.
were out to lunch with another friend who had just got. So Katie went to the restroom, and then our other friend went to the restroom, but Katie had come back, and I also needed to go to the restroom. And so I said, "Oh, there's a key part of this." So the friend that was with us has a small, cute dog. So I was hanging out with the dog. They went to the restroom. Katie came back, and I also needed to go. And so I said to Katie, "Is it a multi-stall?" And she looked at me like I was crazy and was like, "I have no idea." And I just started laughing. And I was like, "I love that you have no idea." Because in my head, I'm like, Katie's like one with the universe. She's this spiritual goddess. She's not concerned about, are there multiple bathroom stalls? She is just loving and living her life in her mystical plane. So this is what I'm thinking. So I go to the bathroom, come back, we leave, we're doing something else. And then Katie can tell her point of view of the story.
Okay, so then fast forward, and we're at this other place, and I can be pretty aloof. And certain things just sort of like directions are not my cup of tea, and certain things I'm just sort of whoop. But we're talking, and Laura's sharing this story, and she's saying about how she was asking me about the multi-stall, and I heard it differently that time. So the way I heard the first version was Maltese dog. And there was a woman there looking at the dog. And so I thought Laura was asking me, like, is it a Maltese dog? I don't know. I don't know what, I mean, maybe it might be. I'm not really sure. I'm not so great with my dogs. But when she said it the second time, I heard her say multi stall. And I said, "Did you just say multi stall?" And she said, "Yeah." And then I told her, and I was able to recount this whole story about how I thought she said Maltese dog. And it's just, a subtle little thing that happened in a day that became a very, very funny story that we can have a good laugh about. But I think there's a bigger lesson in life is that one, sometimes it's good to ask for clarity. I could have asked her for clarity. And two, sometimes what we perceive is not, in fact, reality. Our thoughts are not facts. They aren't always this specific reality. And so to give ourselves a little grace as we go about our days. But I just thought that was a great little story to share about a funny miscommunication that the two of us had, which will now forever be a story that we get to treasure too.
Yeah. I love it. And I mean, I think it's funny that what I read into it was like, oh, she's so aloof. She doesn't even know what the bathroom looks like. And yeah, needing to remind myself of like, no, she's also a human. She's here on Earth. She did, in fact, remember going to the bathroom.
And I did actually know it was a multi-stall. So I could have answered that. But anyway, funny story aside, in closing out, Laura, do you have any words of wisdom, a blessing, anything that you want to share with the mystical living audience that is just on your heart space that wants to come through you as we close?
I think the biggest thing that just is like not screaming, but it's yelling in my mind right now
Mm,
is just thank you, Katie.
mm,
Because truly, your light and the way that you live your life
mm,
is so inspiring. Like, it truly is shining the light for all of us, whether it's, taking that moment to take your shoes off and put your feet in a stream, or
mm,
say see ya to like a super fancy Fortune 100 corporate job and, embark on something new, to asking for help. And I have witnessed you ask for help, and that's really inspiring to me. And I remember, talking with you in one of our goddess our goddess experiences, and and then just like how quickly you implement, and it's like change your frequency, change your life. And just what I want to say to everybody listening is, if you have a hint of a tug, of a pull, of a calling, of anything, of like, I need to be further in Katie Soul's world, like, do it. You will not regret
mm,
it. Because through our moments together, like, we haven't even known each other that long, but I'm like, we are soul freaking sisters. And I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. So
mm.
thank you.
The feeling is mutual. And what I love to say is that a mystical life isn't something super fancy and esoteric. It's simply a life that you create. It's a life by your design, and you are such a beautiful example of living a mystical life, Laura, because you are living a life by your design. You're out in the woods, you're spending time in nature, you're setting this beautiful example for your daughter of being present in moments with her, and also showing her what this badass CEO can be. And you're checking in with the inner you, your inner child. You're tapping into this deeper knowing in your heart center and leading with your intuition. And it's beautiful to witness you in your journey. I am so excited for Rootable to be a part of it, to be a witness to it, and to be a cheerleader for you and your business. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm beaming you lots of love. Mwah. I'm grateful for your presence on this remarkable and captivating journey today. Together, we've delved into the realms of limitless possibilities and unlocked the secrets of our true selves. A mystical life is not a mere coincidence. It's a thrilling adventure that you actively shape with intention and passion. Remember, when you follow your light, you not only illuminate your own path, but you also radiate light to the world around you. The world eagerly awaits the magic you have to offer. Follow your light and let it guide you to incredible heights.